we have like I said, a full docket. We'll go ahead and get Wyatt Engle up here, the head coach of the esports team. So Wyatt. Woo.
Yes. Alright, so things are starting to pick up for us in the esports world. We started off our preseason last Saturday with a 2-0 win over Colorado College. And our match from this past Saturday was rescheduled to tomorrow evening, so we'll be taking on the University of Indiana in a best of 3. And then next weekend, our esports convention is coming up, so November 3rd we'll be hosting a variety of tournaments, including the League of Legends, the first ever League of Legends State Championship, which will be going on in the Fraser Gym. So that's next Saturday the 3rd. And we're having Dakota State University, South Dakota State University, and Blackfield State University all travel out to compete. So that should be a good time, and we'll be live streaming that on our Twitch channel. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Yeah, we're pretty busy with just figuring out the logistics to the convention next Saturday. So any questions?
So we're live streaming on the Twitch channel.
Yes.
How do we get there?
How do we get there? Okay, so it's
Do I just Google it or?
GoRockers.com. It's on GoRockers.com.
Just go find it.
And on GoRockers.com, and then hit on esports, and then Twitch.com.
Esports, okay. All right.
Do you have conference affiliations yet, or is this still getting our feet wet?
Yeah, we're still getting our feet wet. Right now, we're competing in a preseason, kind of like an optional preseason where we just register and then matches against people kind of in our region. So it's.
You mean who's they? I guess.
Okay, so there's an organizer called Collegiate Star League, and they're located in I think Irvine, California. So we just register through them, and they organize our matches for the preseason. And then when our actual season starts in the spring, it'll be split up into the North region, so just kind of neighboring states where we can expect to play against South Dakota State University, Wyoming, Montana State, and schools like that.
Okay. I was just curious because for other sports we have RMAC, we have GMAC, and so forth. I was wondering.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right now there's just like collegiate organizers, not necessarily conferences yet.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you, guys.
All right, next up, volleyball will be speaking. They have a match tonight, actually, and if you look, it's actually been moved up an hour, so the match tonight will start at 5 o'clock instead of 6. But we'll let Coach Torvi explain all that to you. So.
Hi, everybody. So we played tonight at 5 p.m. against Wayne State. The game was originally at 6. Now it's been moved to 5. So shouldn't really change anything for you, hopefully. Wayne State is a very good team. They are receiving votes in the national poll, so technically they're ranked about 28th in the country. So pretty good challenge for us, but at a conference games are always a good time. We play this Friday night against Shadron. That's going to be a very big game for us because the last time we played them, it was a very close game. Every set, besides the first, was decided by 2 points. And it was a pretty exciting game. So hopefully we'll get that level of excitement and energy back on Friday as well. And then Saturday at 3 o'clock, right, we play Metro State, and that is our senior day game. So we have 3 seniors, Allie Wagner, Hannah Bright, and Darla Jenkins. So we will be celebrating them on Saturday for our game and afterwards. So if you'd like to come support them, we play Saturday at 3 and Friday at 7. Yes. Okay. And then the following week, this coming week, our last match of the season, we play Black Hills at Black Hills on Friday. So that's about what we got going on for volleyball. Some exciting stuff. That's our future. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
I saw when I follow you guys at looks like you're doing some student athlete experience things when you're on the road. Tell us a little bit about how you're putting some of those together.
Yeah, so I think our philosophy as coaches is that we get to travel the country or the region, and we might as well do some cool stuff. You know, especially if we're not going to be really winning games right now, we might as well have a good time with each other. So we try to do at least one cool thing every trip that we do. We've been to the Garden of the Gods. Savannah and I tried very hard to convince them to go to the Great Sand Dunes National Park on the way to Alamosa. We felt some resistance due to homework. Then no one did homework, so we still are pretty angry about that. This past weekend we went to Denver and we took them to Dinosaur Ridge, which is cool. You can see some dinosaur fossils, and then we took them to Red Rocks Amphitheater. Kind of hung around, and they were getting ready for a concert, so we, as they were doing their sound testing, we held an impromptu aerobics class, so that was cool. But yeah, we try to, everywhere we go, we try to do something cool, because it's part of, you're not going to remember the wins and losses, you're going to remember the time you spend together and the things you get to see, so we try to do that a little bit. But you know, there's nothing cool to see in Spearfish, so. We're done our adventures for now, I guess. Cool. That's a lie. The Spearfish is pretty cool. I'll be honest. Any questions? No? All right, we'll see you tonight at 5. All right.
Just a reminder, if you can't make the game, we're streaming it live on Facebook, Twitter, and Stretch Internet. So no excuse not to watch it. Next up, we're going to have someone that we haven't seen in a while. Coach Steve Johnson, head coach of the cross-country team, is going to give you a little update. So, Steve, take it away.
All right, yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? Just doing this every week now. So, the last few weeks have been a little bit of a change of pace for us. We spent most of the last 5 weeks training instead of racing. Most of that is because the NCAA pushed our national meet date back 2 weeks, but they didn't give us any extra meets in the schedule or anything like that that we could work with. So what that meant is that we had to make a decision and chose to focus on getting ready for the conference and the regional meets over the next few weeks. What it also did for us was it gave us the opportunity to go run a 10K. With 9 freshmen on our guys' side, one of the things that we felt was really important was to go out and get them that experience at the 10K. Now, from a coaching standpoint, I look at the 10K and I'm like, it's only a mile and a quarter longer than what they're racing in the 8K. It's not that big a deal. But then I have to put myself in their shoes and remember that last year those freshmen were racing 5Ks. So we're doubling their race distance. And that's the big part for them. It's just getting that confidence, that comfort that they can go out and they can do that. And so we've spent a lot of time working on building that confidence up in this group, especially where we've got 3 or 4 freshmen running in our top 7 week in, week out. So got a chance to do a 10K by going up to Billings. So we took them up there. We raced on Friday morning. Weather was about as good as it gets. Kids complained there was a little bit of wind, and I'm like, where? But, you know, whatever. I keep telling them it's cross country, everybody's got to deal with it, that's all that matters. And so we got in, we had a plan to try to be comfortable and control through the first 4K, making sure that we were close to the guys that we want to be able to race. And that meant we needed to match up well with Billings' top 3. We needed to match up as best we can with BH's top runners. And we did that. I mean, we were right there with them up through 8K. And by the time the race was said and done, unfortunately BH's top 5 pulled away from us a little bit. We did mix up pretty well overall with them though. We put 4 guys inside of BH's top 7. We put 4 guys inside of Billings' top 3. And so we actually got the win over Billings again. So that was really nice, especially coming off of a rough race in Spearfish the last time that we had raced. Ryan Moen and Chase Wood just were dogging it out. I mean, they were just dogging people out there and just latching on and just going. And then they had, what they didn't know was going on behind them was that Anders Watt and Joel Haas had a little thing going too, where they were playing a little cat and mouse game actually with each other. Something about not wanting to eat a can of Crave corn or something. Anyway, they decided that they were really gonna hammer it. I mean, these guys went into it with the mindset that we had to not only beat Billings, but we have to match up with BH better. And they did that. They did exactly what we were looking for. We had 3 guys inside the top 10. We had all of our scorers in the top 15, and we had our top 8 all in the top 20 in a 4-team race. So it's a pretty good day for them. On the women's side, we matched up as best we could. Unfortunately, we had a couple of our ladies dealing with a little bit of injury on the side, so that didn't help us in the matchups overall. But up front, we ran really, really well. For our top 3 ladies, Erica Westerman was our top runner. She matched up really well with BH's top 5 this past week, or the past time around. So that was really good to see, especially where at the home meet, that first meet out of the gate, she wasn't even in their top 8. So to get up into their top 5, it looks like she's really starting to come around. She had her first 6K back under 25 minutes. So that and it would have been a 5K under 20. So that was good to see. And then to be able to add on to that, Kayla Gagan and Laramie Giles both ran their fastest 6Ks ever. So we had some really good performances there. We're moving in the right direction with them. In fact, with Laramie's performance, she not only had her fastest 6K ever, she had her fastest cross-country 5K en route to it by about 45 seconds. So we were real pleased with that. Coming up, we go on to, not this weekend, but next weekend, so November 3rd, we go down to Denver for the RMAC. And I'll tell you what, I've been watching, I don't watch too much most years, but I've been watching a little bit with the results that have been coming in, because I've been real curious to see how some things are going to play out. If you ever want to have some idea of how good the RMAC is, I know I've told you before, we got 4 teams in the top 10 on both the men's and the women's side. There's 5 teams ranked on the men's side. BH received votes last week after the Billings meet. Well, let me put it into some perspective for you. The week before we went to Billings, Adams State went out to Stanford. Stanford at the time was ranked number 3 in the country in Division I. They only beat Adams State by 7 points. This is the toughest conference, hands down, in the country, men's and women's. And I don't think anybody could argue it right now. The 2 of the top 3 teams in the conference are on both the men's and the women's side, or 2 of the top teams in the country on both the men's and women's side come from our conference. And we don't even know how good Colorado Mines is on the men's side yet. They just had 3 of their guys, their top 3 guys, run their first race last weekend. Okay, so they've been sitting on these guys, and they've still been ranked number 2 in the national poll. So it's going to be a tough race. The goal on the men's side, without question, is going to be to try to put ourselves into the top 10. We'll have to see what that looks like, because the depth that I'm seeing right now is pretty astonishing, and that's even after we've been in this conference for 5 years. So it's going to be a tough challenge, but I think our guys are up to it. They've got a good mindset. These guys know how to train, but more importantly, they know how to race really well. And so right now, it's just a matter of seeing what we can get done as we move forward. We move on to Billings course. Had 1 hill on it. It was a berm that between soccer fields was about this tall. I could stand on my tiptoes and look over it. But we move on to flatter courses than that now. I mean, they're tabletops, basically. So What that means is that there aren't a whole lot of factors that are going to slow people down. And so with that in mind, we've spent a lot of time really emphasizing that with our guys, really working on what the race pace is going to be that they're going to have to run to compete in this conference. And this group has really embraced that. They get it. They know what they have to do. We saw it last week when we were going through a workout, and I'll tell you what, they came into that workout, they were worn out, they were beat up, they were tired, academically, physically. They'd had a tough lift session that morning, and they nailed the workout. That's not something at this point in the season that we've been able to do in years past. So hopefully we can keep that going. We've got about a month left in the season. Normally at this point in the season we've got 2 weeks. So this will be a different one. Any questions?
How come when you go to the season races, they bump up to a 10K?
So they do that because they're mimicking what Division I does. I don't know where it came from. To me, it's a little bit backwards because a lot of times they like to race as short as a 6K early in the season and then racing 10Ks at the end. It's harder to run short and fast than it is to run long and slow. So it's just something that we've always done on a national level. If you look at Division III and NAI, they run 8K all the way through. But Division I does the same thing we do. They run 8K and then 10K for the last two. There is actually a proposal on the table to try and change it so that they run 10Ks all year. I think that would completely change the landscape of cross country as we know it if they did that, because the men would not be able to race as much as they do if we were to do that. Other questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks again, Steve. All right, next we're going to hear from football. We're down in scenic Las Vegas, New Mexico. And they had another record-setting performance. I believe there was 6 records broken in this game and another one tied. So lots of fireworks. I'll let Coach take your play along.
How's everybody doing? The Hardrocker coaches have always supported each other and always will. I think that's the one thing about our athletic department and coaching staff is we're a tight-knit group. A season ago when we beat Colorado Mines, there were 5 people more excited than I was. One was Stacy Collins for obvious reasons. The other is my wife for more obvious reasons. And the other 3 were Ryan Larson, Jason Henry, and Eric Glenn. And to this day, I still have the text messages those men sent me out that day. And they're supportive son of a guns, and I support the heck out of them and their programs as well. And we hope you all do for the future as well. Those guys mean a lot to me and have been very supportive of our program. We played another shootout in the RMAC, and for we lost a 4-pointer in week 1, a 3-pointer in the 3rd, 4th week, and now a 1-pointer. So I don't know if that means we're getting closer or further away. I'm not sure. We are a team that is just, we're not quite there where we can just show up to a facility and beat somebody because we showed up. My biggest concern going into the game was whether our energy level would be right, whether our juice level, as we say, would be okay. It's an odd place to play. I talked to all our coaches about that. It's just an odd place to play. Our juice level was good at the start of the game, but the men really accepted that challenge. We went out to a lead and really thought that if we could have made a couple of plays in that first and second quarter at some critical moments, we might have demoralized them just enough. We just couldn't. We got beat on some 3rd down plays throughout the course of the day defensively. Early on, it was them kind of getting over the top of our defensive backs. That made us a little gun shy about playing as much man coverage. So then when we softened the coverage up a little bit, they hit us with the draw play. And one of their players is one of the really premier players in the league. He hurt us bad. And that kind of kept them in the game, kept them in the game. Then at the end of the first half, overly risky, poor decision to not take an opportunity at points at the end of the half, I thought hurt us momentum-wise. That was my decision. and it did work. And then at the start of the second half, I thought we were trying to maybe get the game in control, and we had turnovers. We turned it over 3 times. We played Jake Sullivan threw for 592 yards on Saturday. It's the most I've ever been associated with. He had 5 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 2 rushing, and a couple tip balls that went to the other team. Unfortunately for us, their defense touched the ball 3 times when it was in the air. They picked all 3 of them off. Our defense, it hit our hands 3 times, and we didn't get 1 of those 3. It just didn't go our way on Saturday. Our kids battled, but we should have won that football game, in my mind as a coach. And when you lose on the road and you're close, it's hard not to look at the person who's calling the plays, and that's me. So I feel very responsible for that, and we'll work to get it fixed this week. The players of the week, the final piece, and I didn't mention it, was the major penalties, which is just disheartening on a lot of levels. 7 15-yard variety penalties. It's just it's not acceptable for us. We talked on yesterday about not accepting results, but being held accountable to results, and that's where we're at right now. We don't accept them. I don't accept that level of play or that style of play, but I am accountable to it, and we'll move forward, and our team and our coaches will continue to hold ourselves accountable, and we'll be held accountable by others as well. Our high-octane service player of the week is Mitchell Black from Arvada, Colorado. He played tight end for us on the service unit this week because New Mexico Highlands has some big tight ends. He's an offensive guard. I told him, you did a great job this week. You're not ever going out for a pass when it gets real for you. Our service player of the week on defense is Joseph Alber out of Highlands Ranch, Colorado. He had his first really big week as a player for us. Our SWAT rookie of the week, so our best special teams player, that's our rookie, is TJ Schaefer out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. TJ's number 36. We call him the Honey Badger. He probably lacks the size, speed, and explosiveness, but he makes up for it with the thing that's in the chest. He's just one of those players that you just can't play without. Our SWAT player of the week, Corder Cropsey out of Presho, South Dakota, made an incredible couple of plays on our kickoff coverage unit. We had to cover some kicks on Saturday, and he did that. Our defensive player of the week, our LPD player of the week, is JJ Banks. JJ had his best game. He's a senior defensive lineman. He had his best game as a Hardrocker on Saturday. Our high-octane rookie of the week, Zach Hoopman, our running back out of Douglas, Wyoming. I think it became pretty clear to you that we have had some issues with our health at running back. We did lose Kevin Thompson for the season in the Adams State game, so we were a little thin going down there. And then Connor was hurt in the 3rd quarter. Zach has really not played very much with that first unit at all, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns on Saturday, and a catch that if I threw that ball to him 1,000 times in practice, he will catch 1 of 1,000, and he made that play on Saturday down the sideline. Tremendous job by Zach, just stepping up when we needed him. High-octane player of the week, I said, was Jacob Sullivan. Really, really strong performance. And then our pickaxe player of the week was Isaiah Manley, who also tied a school record for receptions in a game, and Isaiah's just been fantastic all season long, and we were 1 foot away from another touchdown for him on our second to last drive that probably would ice the game away. But there were some men who had some really good days on Saturday. Moving forward, we play Colorado Mines Saturday at Colorado Mines. They're currently the 6th ranked team in the nation, and they earned it. If you watch them play on film, it's the best version of the unit that we've seen. They're strong, they're experienced. They've got nice quarterback play. They've got another receiver, if you guys remember 81 from Adams State, Chad Hovas. They have Brody Oliver, number 15 for Colorado Mines, and he is in that same class of player. He is the national record holder, I think, now for receiving touchdowns in a career. Just a really special player. So we will have our hands full on Saturday. We got to play really well, try to get it into we got to try to make it a little bit of a shootout in terms of our ability to get the game loose enough, where kind of like a season ago we were able to do that, stay in it long enough. Biggest concern going into it probably is our overall health, because we've had some issues there. And then, can we keep in the game early? They have outscored their opponents 160 to 30 in the first quarter and 140 to 35 in the second quarter. So they're just really good at starting games. We got to keep that momentum away from them early and see if we can get into a longer game. A season ago when they were at our place, it was a long game, and they had to play in the fourth quarter, and that's where we won the football game. So that's what we're trying to get to on Saturday, and let 7 and 13 and the other guys that are out there see if we can get the game loose enough that we can stay in it late and give this thing a shot. Okay? What questions do we have?
Well, is this a better team than it was last year, the Colorado School Lions?
I think so. Yeah, I really do. I mean, just they're better at quarterback. They have a transfer quarterback who's what's called a graduate transfer quarterback. He came from a Division I school. He's been pretty effective for them in terms of helping them out. And then we'll also see their All-American tailback. Their All-American tailback from a season ago didn't play in the game against us last year, so that kind of helped us out. So yeah, they're a little bit better.
Because I had a young man from England who saw that game last year.
Yeah.
The first time school line that ever beat Colorado.
That's right.
He got to see it. And nobody can believe it. He was playing in that.
Yeah.
How is Connor?
How is Connor?
Yeah.
Better than he was on Saturday. And so he is minute to minute right now as to whether or not he could play. But we do think he'll be back before the season is over.
Okay, what's the problem? I don't know for sure.
He got hit really hard in the leg. Yep. But we've gone through all the protocols and he's wrapped up and we're seeing if he's getting any better. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan.
2 questions for you, Coach.
Start with the hard one.
The hard one? Okay, the hard one is, it's hard for you to admit to this, but how much would the problems defensively last Saturday be on the youth that you have on that side of the ball? And then the second part of the question is, I've been in part of games where you just think one play away throughout the entire game that could win or lose that game. Was that game similar to that, what I was describing? One play offensively, defensively, and you have a pretty happy bus ride home?
The second part of the question, the whole game felt like it was one play away. Early in the game, we really did think we got in the 14-0 lead. When Jack and Connor went down offensively, we changed a little bit, and it took us about a quarter-ish to sort of, all right, find our new footing. Because obviously we were pretty good just handing the ball to 6 and running behind 73. That's been really good for us. Those guys went out in about a 6-play stretch, and it took us a little while to kind of gain some new rhythm and get the thing back under control. And then we did. We were able to kind of get it back under control after those turnovers and square ourselves away. But yeah, it did feel like we were a play here, a play there, a play here. Obviously, it comes down to a 2-point conversion that they get, and they get it by whatever that margin was, right? It was very, very, very small margin. The youth of our defense is where we're at right now. It's a really talented defense. It's the most talented defense we've had, but it has no experience, right? So you kind of, you deal with these, in our time here, we haven't had this many good players out there, but they don't have as many repetitions, you know? And so you kind of get some of those things that happen when you don't have the repetitions. And we're pretty tired at this time of year because the one thing we've done all season is our defensive line has been really disruptive. We weren't as disruptive Saturday. It was the first time all season, and give credit to Highlands, they're really huge up front. But I thought maybe we're trying to just get through some of that fatigue, that we're pretty fatigued as an overall defensive unit, mostly because of inexperienced players who haven't had to play that much football before at a high level. Yeah. But we were in position to make a lot of plays that we didn't quite make too. Yeah.
So one of the things I noticed on Saturday was that New Mexico Highlands was very aggressive with you guys, especially after the play. What was kind of the sideline feeling, trying to control the players? There was a lot of misconduct calls happening after the plays. What was kind of the feeling on the sidelines during that?
It's RMAC football. You try to make sure you don't get called for something in retaliation. It's a competitive, spirited game. We talk about it as a coaching staff. We talked about it on Sunday in our afternoon meeting on Sunday, which was we want our players to play on the edge of that's what good football is, right? We solve our problems with aggression. That's how football works. But you also have to make sure that you're not hurting the team with unsportsmanlike style penalties. We had a couple bang bang ones that went against us. It happens sometimes. But you're right on the edge all the time, but that's competitive college football. I really do think that's competitive college football. We dealt with that in the Black Hills game, and it didn't seem to be much of an issue to us. So, that's competitive college football.
Zach, how about Bethel? What's his status?
Week to week?
Day to day, hour to hour, week to week?
He might be more week to week. Yeah. He's had an incredible season. So I'm really hopeful that he'll get a chance to go out and show that again here at some point. And we're hopeful that he will. Yeah. But it will be a little bit different. So, we've done some things. We may be a little. We're not quite as, our strength going into the season was on offense. One of the strengths was the running back position, and we're down a couple of outstanding seniors right now, and so it'll look a little different on Saturday in terms of how we try to attack them. But we've actually we've seen some things that we think we can do, and 7 gives us a chance to win a lot of games, and he's played at a really, really high level, and he'll get a chance to be a bit of a gunslinger on Saturday, I would presume. Yeah.
How much does playing at those elevations in Colorado and New Mexico affect your fatigue?
I was lightheaded on Saturday, but I was probably running a little hot at times too. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. It was weird how hot it was, and it's going to be hot like that this week. It was kind of awkward. I mean, it's pretty late in the year for it to be as warm as it was. I didn't think that was affecting us in a negative way that much. But I'm looking for a lot of answers in terms of the way we're playing and finishing games on the road. So if there's any sort of elevation assistance program you could consider, guys, if anybody can engineer me a couple more points on the road this season. Yeah, a couple more points on the road, we'd be having a different conversation. But that's where we are.
I think recognizing that there are actors with a minimum of 50-player league of football, going back to 1, what's your plan for a replacement for Jake when he's gone?
Yeah, we have some really good quarterbacks on the roster right now, but we never turn our back on a quarterback that can help us get better. Just like when Jake came in, we had good quarterbacks at that time, and he was able to beat some of those guys out. I think it'll be very competitive. We continue to recruit at the position. We will look at the transfer market, but we'll only take a great player because we do have at least 3 candidates right now that I feel very comfortable. Once they play more, they'll be better. It's actually fun. Jake and I actually talk about this from time to time, and I'll say, man, you look really nice here. And we'll reminisce to some of what he looked like when he first started playing, which was not like this. I remember his first start at Azusa Pacific. He was a little all over the place, right? And now, if he were to go into that same environment, he would be rock solid. So part of it is whoever becomes the guy, the game reps are going to be really critical, and as they start to get more and more and more and more and more reps, because frankly, Jake gets most of the reps all the time, so it helps him improve. And I think once these other guys get more reps, they'll improve as well. Okay. I saw Jerry Schaefer here today. I want to give Jerry a shout out. Hope he's enjoying all this free time that he has right now. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Rock on.
Also, that game on Saturday is going to be at noon start instead of the usual 1 o'clock in Golden. And also, I believe the Alumni Association is holding a tailgate
10:30.
Starting at 10:30 in the parking lot around the Golden area. So if you guys want to go to that, or somebody's in the area, maybe get a hold of Larry in the alumni office, and he'll tell you where to go. So, all right, now we're winding down the fall season, and that means that the winter sports season is upon us, and we heard from Coach Larson last week about the women's basketball team. Now let's bring up Coach Eric Glenn, and he'll give you a little preview of the men's team.
All right, well, thanks for being here. This year's group is a tremendous group. We got great guys, which is kind of a cliche at our school, I know, because we always say that, and we're very fortunate to be able to coach these young men. They are a group that's really hardworking, and maybe more so than anything else, they're a year older. As I would echo what just Coach Tinker said, is that you can't coach experience. And it's nice, we actually have more upperclassmen in one grade than we had all of last year. So that's been very evident in our practices already. The communication, the carryover from last year to this year, the leadership on the sidelines with the younger guys has been tremendous. And that's something that we've really lacked in the last year, and that was very evident. So we're excited to have that now. And especially through this adverse time that they're going through, it's important that we did have some good veteran guys that has a little bit of that maturity level, and that's carried over as well. It's been very good. Us as a staff, we've really just tried hard to help these guys move forward, because they're hurting. There's no doubt about it. But they have really, I mean, they were already a tight-knit group, so I can't really say they brought them in, because they were already there. But they have done a great job of leaning on one another, and one of the things that we've really focused on them on is moving forward and being able to do it in a positive fashion that still can make them productive and not have a burden on them, as we all know when we face adverse things like this. So our biggest thoughts are with them, and any support that you can give them would be huge, because a pat on the back, anything like that would be great. Okay? Well, the qualities of them, we're seeing, like we said, they have great resolve, they've been resilient, but the intensity of our practices have been very good and very competitive. And that's the only way you're going to get better, is be able to have those type of practices. We actually had 6 practices last week, and then we went and scrimmaged on Sunday against Dakota State. And it's probably, and we've done that for a couple of years, and it's by far the best scrimmage we've ever had in that season. We didn't necessarily do the details right, but the intensity, we played a total of 50-minute scrimmage, was there for pretty much, I would say, at least 48 to 49 minutes of that. There was little spots here and there. The start, was a little sketchy because everybody was excited to play against somebody else besides themselves. Okay? But we really saw some great glimpses, and when we got back and saw the tape, it was even better than what we just thought it was. So that made us really excited about where we're at. And we're just going to get going forward from there. The season coming up is going to be hitting us before we know it. We have a great schedule. I guess you call it great. I would call it tough maybe, but we've got a great non-conference schedule. We've had bring up 2 teams that we've been traveling to the last 2 years down in Texas. It's going to be a great weekend at home. It's our only non-conference home weekend before Christmas. So really appreciate you get out and give them a lot of support like we always do, and we know that we get. Texas A&M International is a team down there. We gave them their worst loss in school history on their home floor. And so I'm guessing that they're probably talking about that a little bit. Okay. Texas A&M Kingsville is a tremendous school, and they have a great basketball tradition there. They are very athletic. They pressure the heck out of you. Last year, they did disrupt us, and that's what they like to do. They want to disrupt you and create turnovers and create tempo out of that pressure. And so that'll be something that we'll definitely be preparing for again this year with that. After that, we have a great opportunity. There's a tremendous thing that's been set up with us, Black Hill State, Northern State, and Augustana. We're starting a series called the East-West Challenge. Matter of fact, I was just in Sioux Falls this weekend, watching my oldest run the state cross-country meet, and as I drove by the Pentagon, there's a big billboard there with a grubby on it, and that was kind of cool to see. And then, so we're going to be playing there at the Pentagon, which is a tremendous facility. It's a great place to watch basketball. If you're looking for a trip at that time of the year, that's the place to be, okay? There's shopping, there's food, and there's gonna be basketball, okay? So, we do that following weekend. Our big trip of the year is that over Thanksgiving, we're taking the guys up to Alaska Anchorage. And so we're really looking forward to that. That's gonna be a neat experience. As Coach Torvi said, it's kind of neat as coaches. You know, I've been to Hawaii twice through basketball. My wife hasn't been there yet, and I get reminded of that all the time. Okay? So now you got to put Alaska on that as well, because she's not going to be able to go with me at this one either. But Alaska, Anchorage, we play twice up there. Kind of an unusual deal. We will actually play them back to back, and they actually do that in their conference once in a while. But so they'll be kind of used to that. But we're going to play them up there. If you've ever seen at Thanksgiving time, a lot of times they used to have the Great Alaska Shootout. And so you've probably seen their facility, got a great facility. So it'd be a really neat basketball experience. And we're going to try to do one of those team bonding things up there. We haven't quite figured it out yet. I've talked to people that have been up there. If you have any ideas, shoot me an email. Because we're kind of looking for something to do. Right now we're contemplating between going up and seeing bears and things like that to just get a tour of the town on a tour bus. So like I said, if you have anything, let us know about that. When we get back from that, then we're right into it. RMAC, and it gets big because it's Black Hill State right off the bat. This year, the travel partner is your first game, and so that's always a weird spot to play that game just because of the intensity of it for us. I don't know that anybody else in the conference has what us and Black Hills have in a rivalry, which is really special. And so, play that game right off the bat in December. I'm glad we have some veterans ready to go, and we're really looking forward to that game as well. Where we fit in the conference, you know, being quite honest, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, we have our usual suspects at the top. Fort Lewis will be good, Colorado Mines will be good, Metro will be good, and the rest of us are trying to get to that level of consistency where they're at. And so, I like where we're at. We still got a ways to go, and we have a tremendous ceiling, I feel like, still, because we got some young guys we're going to still lean on this year a little bit. And with that, I feel like we should be able to play our best basketball come February, and that's going to be our goal with our guys. Okay? Well, roster-wise, let's kind of go down our roster here, and we'll start from the bottom with the freshmen. Right off the bat, number one there's Zach Hidalgo from Greeley, Colorado. Zach was a kid that we got to see a lot in high school. His high school team would attend our teen camps, and really got to build a good relationship with him. And he's going to be a really good player coming in the future. Not that he's doing bad now, but he's 6'5", he's long, he can shoot. Defensively, the speed of the college game right now is a little overwhelming for him. But he's starting to adapt just already in a week. So I'm really excited what he can really bring to the program. And the better our freshmen get, the better we'll get because they'll continue to push our upperclassmen. Next on that list for a freshman is Damani Hayes. Damani is a guy that I think you might plan on seeing on the floor this year as a true freshman. And that's no small feat because of the fact that we do have a lot of experience coming back this year. When you see him play, he's just like a little dynamo, and he is like bouncing around all the time. All right, and this weekend he was great. He made energy plays. He was diving on the floor. He was taking charges. He was harassing guys with the ball. He is a guy that really takes pride in his defense, and that's what we loved about him when we recruited him. And so for him, he's a guy. He's only 6'5", but we'll probably play him at a forward position. So essentially, there's going to be looks where we'll go with a 4-guard look with him on the floor. But he's strong for a freshman, and he doesn't look like your normal freshman. And we're really excited to have him. Number 40, Caden Hansen, is a 6'7" freshman from North Dakota. He is coming in a little bit of raw in skill, but I like where his frame is at. He's a guy, we have a tremendous strength staff, we have a tremendous training staff, and I know they're going to do great things with him, and a year of just getting in that strength program for us is going to do him wonders. He's not skinny, he just needs to be trained. He just hasn't had that training. And he's going to be pretty darn good once he gets that. Obviously, the big question, and no pun intended, is our 7'4", Adam Trapp, okay? Adam is a tremendous kid, comes from Esco, Minnesota. He does, obviously he's 7'4", you don't coach a guy to be 7'4", all right? He's gonna be able to do some things just based on his God-given ability to be tall. Right now, we are really focusing on his strength. Big guys like that, they're built a little differently, and they don't necessarily develop right away. So, again, we're kind of leaning on our strength staff to get him going. I don't know if you'll see him this year, just because of that fact that we want to make sure that he is ready to go 100% strength-wise before we can get him going on that. But there's no doubt that he's going to be a great asset to this program. Watching on tape, I've experienced playing against guys like him, and by the time that they are into their sophomore year, juniors and seniors, and they've got all that strength figured out and they've got some experience under them, they've got that wingspan, it just changes things in the lane. And when you can do that and you can control a lane with a guy like that, all of a sudden you can be a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter as well. And so that's something that we're really looking forward to in the future with him. Our sophomore class, we only have 3 this year. We have Wilfred Dixon, okay, from New Zealand. He actually played a lot for us last year, and you'll see more of him again this year. Really like his versatility, because he can play a wing or he can play in our forward position as well. Probably his biggest asset is that he's very good off the bounce. He can get in the lane and he finishes in the lane well. And but he shoots it well enough from the perimeter, and he has improved his shot as well this year, and being able to knock down that outside shot. So people have to respect that. Troy Brady, obviously you've seen Troy, you know that he's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. And everybody go around in the summertime, see coaches and stuff, everybody's raving about him. And we're really lucky to have him. He does a tremendous job, not only with the way he plays, but he's a great leader on the floor for us as well out there. Last one is Trey Smith. Trey Smith is only 6'4". I see Brad's got him listed as a guard. I don't think he's ever played guard for us, unless we're playing football. Okay, he's a big, stocky player. He's strong as an ox. He's got big old tree trunks for legs, and but the thing is, he shoots the three. He's a great pick and pop player. He's a coach's kid. We made an adjustment on the fly on Sunday, right before, and out of all the guys, he nailed it right off the bat. He's got a great feel for the game. He has to be a little undersized. He does play in our forward position, so he gets a little undersized. But he does pose a problem because people have to come out and guard him. And he does stretch the floor for us. And so we really like his ability to do that and open up some gaps and open up some things in the lane for us as well. I have to back up. I left off our redshirt freshman as well on there. Okay, first we have Raylan Brown, and you haven't seen Raylan yet. He redshirted last year. He's from Milwaukee. He's coming along pretty well. The only problem that Raylan has is that he has 2 of the best shooters in the league right in front of him. Okay, and that's not a bad problem for us to have. It's just not great for Raylan right now. Okay, but he is doing a tremendous job. He's keeping his head up. He understands the situation, but at the same time, he's not just sitting back and accepting it. He's trying to step up and compete as well. And so he's going to be all right. He just needs to keep going and keep his head up as he goes along. Jordan O'Leary, our point guard position is probably as deep and best it's ever been in my 13 years here. I really like where our point guards are. And they're doing a tremendous job of running. We really lean on them to make quality decisions early in our offense. And then if it gets late in the shot clock, we rely on them to make great decisions late in the shot clock. And we've got some guys that are really getting along mentally and learning what we want from them with that. And not only that, though, they're able to do some things one-on-one and be able to beat guys one-on-one. And so that's something that we haven't necessarily been really good at over the last few years. We've always had good shooters maybe in that spot. Okay, we've had good, solid, tough guys in that spot, but we haven't had necessarily guys that could actually beat somebody one-on-one in that spot. And so Jordan is a very quick guard, does a great job of getting in the gaps. People have a tough time keeping him in front. All right, he's a little bit undersized, so in the lane he's got to make some better decisions, and see some things. But he's really learning well with that as well. Mitchell Suker is a name that you're going to get familiar with right away. We redshirted Mitchell last year. We didn't want to. We were forced to due to an injury, and so that left him out of basically commission until January. And so really Mitchell had about a month and a half of basketball last year where he was actually on the floor when he could finally practice with us. Take that to this year, so he hadn't really played basketball since his senior year in high school. So he has come in this year and has done really well. He played in the scrimmage. You could tell early on that he hadn't really played in a competitive situation like that in a while. But as it went on, he played really well. I think he ended up with 18 and 7 in our scrimmage. And that's not bad for your first game out. Okay, so we're really excited about him. He is about 6'9". He is as much of a guard as he is a forward. He actually played the wing in high school because they had 2 other big guys on his team. That was a big team for a high school team over there in Marshall. So he handles the ball well. He has range. He can shoot the 3. He's going to be a big part of what we do. And so we're really excited. And you're just going to see him just keep getting better and better as the year goes on. And that's going to make us better as well. Our junior class we're really leaning on. There's 5 of them. And like I said, there's a lot of experience. And like I said, through this whole last week, they've done a tremendous job. And really rallying the guys together, coming together communication-wise. On the floor, they're the ones that are talking about getting to the side of the floor, talking to the freshmen, and really getting us in a good frame of mind. Starting off with Jay Keith, obviously was freshman of the year, his freshman year. Last year we had to move him to the point guard position, which is not his natural position. Did a great job, honestly. You look at his statistics, his stats were right up there with this point guard that's up at Northern State, and they were the national runner-up up there. Okay, and he rivaled his stats. But we all know what Jake does well, and that's shoot the 3. And so we're going to be able to free him up a little bit more and be able to use more screens for him and get him some more opportunities to open up and get back to what he does well. Jack Fiddler, number 12. Again, one of our energy guys that does the things that a lot of times don't necessarily show up in a stat book, but are just key for us to be successful. He's great at going after the other team's best defender. He's smart. He really has a good motor. It's constantly going. He chases down loose balls. He gets deflections. Offensive rebounds are huge from Jack. I remember his freshman year when we did an exhibition at South Dakota State where he went up, blocked a guy, got a block, took it to the other end, hit a 3, turned around, they tried to inbound it, stole it, laid it in, right at the end of the half. I mean, that just exemplifies what Jack does for us right there. And so we're extremely blessed to have him with us again this year. We do have one transfer, 4-year transfer, Alec Williams. If you're not familiar, all of our guys know who Alec Williams is because Alec comes from Metro State. And he played for Metro State. And 2 years ago, we played Metro State, and Alec was the backup point guard. And so their starting point guard was very good. And we come out, and then Alec ended up pouring in, I think it was 22 on us that night. Okay, so it's one of those things that's like, well, good, if we can get him score for us and not against us. Okay, you're going to see right away why we like Alec. Alec is dynamite quick. He is extremely shifty. He knows how to get to the rim. He's not a great shooter, but he's a good shooter. People are going to have to respect the fact that he does have range. And but he is a tremendous player with the ball in his hands and being able to get it. And he has great vision. He makes passes sometimes in the practice where we're like, I didn't even know there was a lane there. Okay, so he finds guys very well. And so sometimes it gets a little crazy, and we're going to try to get them to take care of that. But I'd much rather them play with no fear of failure and learn from that than go the other way, and he does that. Logan Ellers. You know, Logan's been a great player for us the last 2 years. He was our most efficient offensive player last year. Really takes on a load. He's 6'7", very good with his back to basket, has a great feel for the game around the basket. Probably haven't exposed what his other parts is that he does have range and he can step out and shoot it a little bit. We played him more in the paint, and we will probably see him step out a little bit more, but we really like what he does in the paint, and he does let us at free throws as well. And it's very key that we do get to the free throw line, and so he'll be a big part of that also. and we're excited to have him. Finally, our 2 seniors. One is actually a 5-year guy, okay, and one was a transfer for us last year. And we'll go with the transfer first, to Jacob Anastasi. If you know Jake at all, and if you knew who he was, and you happened to be watching Jimmy Kimmel this summer, he was actually on Jimmy Kimmel, and they asked him what was his last book to read, and it stumped him. And so he came out with Jungle Book. And then the guy asked him, he goes, "Is it a book?" And he goes, "I think so." So we give him a little grief about that. All right, so he's famous. He's been on Jimmy Kimmel, and I don't let him live it down at all. Okay, so and I probably won't. But Jake has really come back this year. He's come back a stronger player. He plays the point guard. He's not quite as shifty and quick as we talked about with Alec, but he's 6'4". He's now, like I said, he's getting stronger. He's really learning how to use his strength, and he's able to get into gaps and use that by using that strength. Last year, he was able to get in the lane, just couldn't quite finish. He had some great opportunities throughout the game, and he just could not finish. So that's the big thing we've been focusing with him. Because at 6'4", like a point guard that size and getting in the lane, he should be able to score on a lot of people there, and from a good range, and be very efficient for us. And he's battling for that point guard position, and we're really excited about him. Wenzel Sterling, who is our 5th-year player on the program, is what we call probably the only one on the team that I really call a combo guard, where he can play point or off. He shoots it fairly well. He has great ball handling skills. Again, very strong player, and does have some. He's deceivably quicker than he looks. I think Coach Tinker would look at him and like his glutes and call him a DB, okay? Because he's got a good frame for that. He's very tenacious. He's usually had some times throughout the season. His problems have always been the fact that he's just so tightly wound that he's just had some issues with that. So we've this year he was really excited that he got all the way through preseason work without one single injury. That hasn't happened for him in the 4 years. So he was very excited for that. We were happy for him as well. And that hopefully will lead to good things for him for this senior year. And he's a great voice. He's one of those guys that he's got a dynamic personality, and he's able to really speak up. We have some guys that maybe aren't quite that, and he's really a vocal guy that does a good job of talking with them. But that's our group. Is there any questions from anybody, real quick? Tristan. And did I think of Tristan? I'm sorry. Thanks, Coach. Tristan Van Eyck at 20 on there. Tristan is going to be a junior as well for us. Okay? He's 6'10". Last year, obviously, he got injured early in the year. We tried to bring him back. He played about 80% for us, if that, come the end of the year. He just couldn't jump. And not that he's a leaper by any means, but he just had a tough time getting off the floor. But I give him a lot of credit. He's gutted it out. And so this summer, he went in, he's got his issues fixed. He's working hard in rehabilitation. And we're hopefully expecting him sometime here in this first semester to be back with us on the floor. But he is another one also that in the locker room and everywhere else has really matured. I've been really proud of what Tristan has brought to us. And for him not to be on the floor, he's actually getting a visual, kind of like us coaches are, and he's seeing things. And it's been really important to have him because he's done some good things for us right now in the start of the season. So thanks, Coach, for helping me with that. Now, do we have any questions?
Eric, I noticed that the school over the years, never has really gone east very much for the recruiting. You've got 3 freshmen from Minnesota and 1 from Wisconsin. Was that just happenstance or work, or did you actually kind of look more into that area?
Yeah, we've actually tried to get into Minnesota a little bit more. We had Robbie Fetter way back, it doesn't seem that long ago, but I know it's longer than it seems. And I think that was about our only Minnesota kid up to that point, in my tenure here. And but Minnesota, basically our 2 metro areas are Colorado and Minnesota. And Minnesota actually does have more people. And so we just felt like it was natural for us to try to start getting up in that area there. And so there's a lot of good players in Minnesota. Again, it's finding the fit for us, like anywhere else academically. But it's really kind of made a good turn for us. I think some of the guys that we have, You know, Mitch was a solid engineering guy, so that helped us a ton. I think Damani was a little undecided when he got here and he saw what our school was about, which is obviously a great benefit for us. We get kids that aren't quite sure, even know what engineering is. We bring them here and they find out. And we get great professors that do a tremendous job sitting down with them and explaining to them. And it's amazing how much their eyes light up and they're like, yeah, this sounds like the place for me. So we're really excited about that we do start getting that pipeline going here because it is a good place. And then that's what's great about the East-West Challenge is we're getting over there to play a little bit too, so we're getting some exposure in that area also. Anyone else? Well, you're going to take it easy on me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, again, you know, I just want to reiterate, like I said, these guys are tremendous guys. Like I said, they're going through a tough part. We're helping them through it. If you see them, like I said, give them a pat on the back. They can sure use it. But they're also very excited. They're really determined to keep going. I tell them 4 years is all you get in college to play. And it's fleeting. And you get to be my age, you know, you don't want to have any regrets. And so they're really taking that to heart. And I've been really proud of them. And we're really excited to get going and do great things and represent Hardrocker Nation. Thank you very much.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up. I'd like to thank Ranch for having us out here. Next week we'll be at Buffalo Wild Wings for 11:30 start.
Brad, can I just do one thing?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
And this is the way my head's been all week, but I want to obviously introduce Ron right here. Okay, if you don't know Ron, obviously he was a high school basketball coach in the area. He's got his plaque. We'll see his plaque when we go to SDSU up on the wall in the Hall of Fame. And we always make the guys go over there and touch it for good luck. So he's been a tremendous asset to me with his experience and wisdom. Him and I do think a lot alike, but he has given me some great wisdom, and not just through this time, but in the times that he's helped us here in the past as well. And I'm very blessed to have him with me right now. And thank you.
Once again, next week, 11:30 at Buffalo Wild Wings. First basketball exhibition game is against SDSU on November 1st, and I believe you can watch that this year. They're going to stream it, so just go to our website, go to the schedule, all that stuff to click up. If you want to go to the Pentagon game, the East-West Challenge, there's also a link on our website to get tickets through there. And then anything else, just also be on the website. I'd like to thank Michelle for putting this on and being here at Pizza Ranch. And I don't know, I think that's going to do it then. So thanks and have a good day.